Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. This is Anja Schäfer. I received an email today about my friend and mentor, Omnec Onec, the woman from Venus. And this email is so beautiful, the questions in this email, that I would like to share it openly with all of you, because I believe that the subject that is addressed here by this lady named Elizabeth from Poland, that it is quite possible that a few of you are interested in Omnec's perspective on this topic. Since Omnec Onec is not personally on the internet and speaking answers, and since I'm her good friend and very familiar with her opinions, ideas, and perspectives, I allow myself to try to give an answer to the best of my ability. I will read this email now to you. Hello, Anja. I watched with interest the interviews and conferences with Omnec Onec. I know she had a stroke and had health problems. How's she feeling now? Is she healthy? I would like to ask her what she thinks about this latest pandemic. What is her attitude toward vaccinations? Does she support it or reject it? Has she or her relatives decided to get vaccinated? I'm sorry for asking such personal questions. I'm asking about these matters because there are many different opinions on this subject. She has a broad view of reality, and her opinion on this subject is important to me. Is there any conference where she talked about hollow earth, the inner earth? If you know her opinion on this subject, could you please share it with me? As Christmas is approaching, I wish you and your friend Omnec Merry Christmas, good health, and a Happy New Year 2025. Best regards, Elizabeth. Isn't this a kind email? I love these kind of humble, kind questions. And this is why I dare openly sharing it with you, and also the opinion or the answer, as I already said in my intro. So I start again and go into the details. I know Omnec had a stroke and had health problems. How is she feeling now? Is she healthy? Yes, she had a stroke. Omnec had a stroke in 29. So that's 15 years ago. In the beginning phase, right after the stroke, her left side was fully paralyzed. She couldn't move it at all. Then she had rehabilitation in a very good hospital here where I live, near Bodensee in southern Germany. And after she left the hospital, she was able to walk again with a cane. And from my perspective, since that time, so since 2010, this has not drastically changed anymore. So her left side has still been partly paralyzed, and that's how it is going to most probably stay. Omnec is used to this physical handicap, to this situation. So that's quite okay. Mentally and spiritually, she is in very good health conditions. It has not changed. She's, of course, due to who she is sometimes going through big transformation processes that other people around her sometimes do not fully understand what she's going through. And this is her personal way of experiencing herself, of integrating information, and also preparing herself again to sharing what she's receiving from her spirit guides, from her Venusian friends, and so on, so that she can share it again with the world. From my perspective, as her close friend, I believe that she's sometimes going through some periods of new adjustment and receiving information that she is handling also physically and emotionally, with the one reason that to stay longer, to stay as long as her physical body, her physical self is able to contain her huge enlightened soul. Meaning that the physical condition in itself, so the question whether she's healthy or not healthy, in Omnec's case, as a spiritual leader and spiritual teacher, does not even have priority. Priority has her mental and spiritual capabilities and abilities to hold the high frequencies, to anchor them physically and still be present in the physical environment so that she can still be here as long as she's able to be here physically. That also includes rare but sometimes appearing physically, like for example, this year in 2024, as Elizabeth said, that she watched with interest the interviews and conferences with Omnec. So without her being still in the physical, she would not be able to at least sometimes appear in interviews or conferences physically, although it's really rare because she does not use the internet. She needs most of her time and energy for herself and for her own physical um, life, daily life, her own private life. So there are various reasons why she is pretty much withdrawn and kind of isolated from the rest of the world and not really reachable, not reachable for the public. This is one reason why I'm also more and more going into the public appearances because I'm pretty well trained meanwhile, knowing what she would what her mission is, what my mission is, so that we together in a team share these Venusian teachings and messages and the energy. How she's feeling quite well at the moment. I just spoke with her a few days ago, and she is in good spirits. She's preparing herself to be present at the Mount Shasta workshop next summer in 2025 at the end of June, beginning of July. So anybody who is hearing that and who is interested in meeting Omnec personally, you can look in the video description because I'm going to link the email address from Robert Potter and his website because he's organizing that. And Omnic is going to travel somehow with some companion, somebody who's going to accompany her to Mount Shasta. At least that's at the moment the plan. And if she wasn't here physically and was not healthy enough to do such an endeavor, to go on such an adventure, well, she wouldn't do it, right? So she's healthy enough, but she's not absolutely perfectly in perfect health. Who she is the energies that her physical self has to deal with in this lifetime since the 50s, so to say, is really immense, and nobody who is not in her shoes can imagine and really feel what this woman has been going through her whole life. As a Venusian, coming from the astral realm full of love and light into the physical density of 3D consciousness in the 50s and 60s, and so on, and dealing with all the energies after she went to public in the 90s, 80s, 90s, etc. So we can really be very grateful that she's still here. And anybody who's able to meet her personally, well, go for it. I can only recommend you to experience Omnec Onec at least once personally in your life. And with a little bit of luck, she might even come back to Germany in 2026 for the second ultimate UFO disclosure conference, just so that you have heard it at least once now. Then Elizabeth asked, I would like to ask her what she thinks about this latest pandemic. What is her attitude toward vaccinations? Does she support it or reject it? You know, I know that there has a lot of censoring going on also on YouTube. So I'm still not sure what I may say and what not. So I will be very, very careful with what I say and very general, but you will understand what I say. And Omnic would certainly say the same, at least publicly. Omnic's main teaching is that so everybody is a soul, immortal, a fractal of God, and free. That means the free will to decide what everybody wants individually is always the right choice. Omnic generally never supported or rejected anything because she believes in free will. The question is whether it's your free will or whether you use your free will when you're acting out of fear. And that's a question that everybody can only answer for themselves individually. Because if somebody chooses to say yes to something because if he said no, he would lose his job, his recognition, money, or anything, his health, if it would cause him any kind of problems in his environment. So if somebody chooses to take anything, whether it's a pill or an attitude or something that even goes deeper into the physical self, and it's not really coming out of free will because it is a choice made of love, but it is a choice made of fear. Well, whatever he or she chooses, it's his or her responsibility individually. So, having said that, and when you know who Omnic is, and that she believes in free will, and that everybody is a soul, and that she is a soul, you can imagine what her choice is, and has been, and always will be. She chooses freely what she feels that is right for her. And of course, her family is also individually. And I cannot even tell you how her individual family members chose. The thing is, you have to really find your own answer. Has she or her relatives decided to get vaccinated? Well, I can tell you that she has not decided to, but I can't tell you that for each of her relatives because this is also not my right. But about Omnic, of course, I can tell you that she suffered a lot from the isolation. all the years. She is already quite isolated in her home situation, also because of her stroke, because of the fact that she can't drive a car and that she's always dependent on others. So during these years, when she was not even allowed to go somewhere without all these kind of rules and regulations and conditions and everything, it was very difficult for her emotionally and mentally. But thank God this is not this way anymore right now. Elizabeth continues with, I'm asking about these matters because there are many different opinions on this subject. And she has a broad view of reality, and her opinion on this subject is important to me. Yes, I guess I answered it, right? And the different opinions on this subject see one tool or attitude, no, not an attitude, one important aspect of ruling others, over other people is dividing them. And this was one of the reasons why all that happened. It is to cause fear, to bring fear, pressure, and to divide the people. And this is what we experienced. This is not even an opinion. This is what happened during that time. People had different opinions. And the only opinion that counts for everybody individually is their individual opinion and attitude and decision. And this is free will. Allowing others to decide for themselves, to decide what they do with their physical bodies, what they put into their bodies, what they drink, what they eat, what kind of religion they like or don't like. This is the kind of love that God has for each soul individually, is to respect and accept their free will of choice instead of imposing or forcing with fear and conditioned love. That's not the way God loves or the Creator loves. The Creator loves us because we exist, because we are all fractals of the pure source of creation, and not because we are behaving in a certain way or because we do what somebody tells us to do or to think. And this is one reason why Omnec as a teacher is here among the human beings at all, to help people remember that they are souls and that they have a free will and that they have nothing to fear, not even death, not even death, because even death is just a transition and no reality. It's just a transition to another phase of existence. That's the truth. So imposing a will on others, and because they could die or they would be responsible for the death of others, is really something pretty nefarious. And I'm not even going into what is all connected with this juice that they have been trying to put into human bodies, and that many human bodies allowed or are still allowing that it is going into them. There are others who are giving a lot of information about that. That's not my mission. But I can only say for me and for Omnec, from the first moment on, when it all began, it was a no. Very simple. No. The other question that Elizabeth asked is there any conference where she talked about hollow earth or the inner earth? There is one quite small chapter about the inner earth beings, about inner earth in the unknown history of the solar system and the spiritual transformation of the earth. This is a lecture, a talk that Omnec has been giving 10, 15 years, and I transcribed it once, and it's in our book, Simply Wisdom and Love, Venusian Spirituality. So the full transcript of that big talk, this huge spiritual teaching, is in our book. And I will link this book below so that you can order it it's available from Amazon. And concerning the hollow earth, yes, it's connected with that information, with that spiritual information from Omnec, where she talked that there are living beings, that there are entities, beings that have escaped into the inner earth after the after the big manipulation happened on humanity. That's all part of this big story of humanity, of humankind, and that they will come back to the surface when the transformation is complete. So she says, yes, these beings exist. Inner Earth is populated, and she mentioned that. That's basically everything that I can say about that. But it's if you want to know the big field and the big story around it, you have to listen to that complete story that Omnic shared. Yes, and that's it. This is what I wanted to share with you. I hope that this information is of some value for some of you, not only for Elizabeth. I thank you very much for these questions and for this question. And if you that you're watching this now and listening to it now, if you have any particular questions, feel free to write them in the comment or to send an email to contact@venus-spirit.com. Thank you very much. May the universal love and blessings be. See you next time.